Hello, my name is Mark Bartold. I'm with Bebo Analytics. I wanted to compare the debates for president and vice president in the 2024 election. Uh, Most politicians lie, so it was pretty self evident on all four of the candidates. Um, the, the liars in order in which lied the most, of course, started with Trump. He lied excessively. Uh, there was no one even close to giving him a competition for the biggest liar. Vance, he lied quite a bit actually, but he was very smooth and elegant about it. It was like, he was just like your regular lying politician, and he did it very well. He was very professional at his lies. Didn't go unhinged like Trump does, and didn't make stuff up and over exaggerate to an extent that the lies were that proficient and very obvious to any normal person taking a look. Harris pretty much came in third. She had some misspoken things, borderline truths. Again, another political politician that lies from time to time. There again, a lot of times, like John Kerry, got caught with he was for it before he was against it type issues and stuff like that. And that's what politicians deal with a lot of times. They'll be for one thing and then they got to be swayed the other way. And Kamala Harris had a lot of swaying going on. But that's pretty much like a change in policy, which she said she didn't change policy, but she did. But it depends on what kind of a policy you're looking for and what, did it sway? Is Trump going to be swayed on the wall? No. Is it going to be swayed on immigrants? No. Is it going to be swayed on, people can be swayed if it's politically feasible for them and if they actually do it. Now, of course, Joe Biden is an example. He got swayed on some issues and then he ran away from it in midterm. He ran away. And that's where his popularity dropped out, as well as his age. But, and of course, the Trump-Biden debate, it was a landslide victory for Trump, and Trump didn't even have to do anything. He just showed up and, was actually pretty reserved. He actually did what he was supposed to do. And Biden just, was just a statue for the most part. But the more to the other debates that were more meaningful, as far as the candidates that are actually still in the race, all in all, we do need better candidates, and we had better candidates in 2016. To me, Michelle Obama should have been in 2016, 2020, and 2024. She was just so much more likely that she wouldn't lie. She seemed like a very honest politician potential, but she just didn't like politics in it. Bernie Sanders, to me, is the only politician that probably lied the least. I imagine he's lied from time to time, but I don't think it was intentional. Waltz, coming to the fourth place liar, you could tell when he lies. It's unreal. You could see him lying. Like, he's just so uncomfortable about it. Like, oh, yeah, I lied. Oh, my God. He felt so bad about it. Never saw a politician actually in that boat where, you could almost get an apology out of him, which he didn't do. Um, he had no apology for it. He just kind of weaseled his way out of it. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you're going to have a lying politician, I'd much rather have one where, wow, he's really lying. Like, I could tell he's lying and don't trust what he's saying there. And, you could, whereas, maybe Harris and Vance, it's a little hard to tell, and then you got Trump that it's like, he has no apologies to lie and be so ridiculous on his explanations of his lies, to the point of just total laughable, but yet effective for a certain group of people. I don't get it, but at any rate, if you like to be lied to, Trump's definitely your guy. I mean, he lies all the time. And, Trump makes up things and looks silly doing it, Vance was very polished in making things up and covering for Trump, too. Harris had policies that was good at attacking Trump's lack of policy, other than 2025 Heritage Foundation. The border, which was politicized by Trump. 9 years talking about a wall, and it's the wall's defense. He should have added a defense bills. For 4 years he was in, he could have put the wall in, but he didn't. Walls highlighted some of the Harris policies, but was not very effective at attacking Trump-Vance policies. Foreign policy, Harris won, in my opinion, because of Trump's incessant love affair of dictators and embracing and welcoming the Hungarian dictator, and his quest of the Hungarian wanting Trump to win the election and saying, "Oh, this is so great that." Look at the foreign leaders that want me to be president, Putin and the Hungarian dictator and Kim Jong-un, they all want him to be president. It's like, I'm sure they do, because Trump doesn't like Europe. He'll probably let Taiwan fall to China. Not a big deal to Trump. South Korea, goodbye, who cares? Kim Jong-un, we'll just take it. That's just going to be the way it's going to be. If Trump goes in, you can mark my words. You talk about land grabs. They figured Trump's, like a Chamberlain, appeaser instead of a line drawing. You can't cross this line. So it's very worrisome, in my opinion, on the foreign policy angle. The housing, Vance did a push on the border and housing being occupied by immigrants, and which he had a very effective, I think, take on that. Immigrants have to live somewhere too. But as far as the housing that they're living in, it may not be necessarily a place that other people want to live, and usually it's overcrowded housing, when they do. Waltz failed to counter the housing immigration position. Overall, Walz lost the debate out of the four. With Trump, I'd say Trump is Trump, and his followers, they'll say he won and so on. So, Walz, I think, was the clear loser in the whole four-pack, and then Trump came in third, I'd say. But there again, the vice presidential debate, I don't know how many people even watched it. So I think Vance, I think, made the biggest headway out of it because a lot of people, he was the most unpopular candidate. And now I think Vance has moved up. He might even be number two, because you have people that hate Trump and you have people that hate Harris. And so, the vice presidential picks are just, character ones. And so Vance may have wound up because, his lies weren't necessarily, that outrageous. And Walz had some lies, too, that you obviously, showed, much like the Nixon-Kennedy debate, it was almost like he was sweating. But he wasn't sweating, but Trump was sweating. Trump sweated on that debate with Harris. But at any rate, it was a very uncomfortable position for Trump to be in, debating a woman, and he won't do that again. That's how uncomfortable it was for him. Women are his Achilles heel. A strong woman, he doesn't like a strong woman. A good-looking woman, he can't stop talking about a good-looking woman. So even if it's his own daughter, so that's why he's always getting caught with these other women and everything else. And then, it's like, meanwhile, Melania is what is she? Chopped liver, So anyway, family values, whatever. The abortion thing, Trump, backed the states, but he still believes in exceptions. But a lot of the states are like, no, they went all the way to 0 weeks, and it's been a real nightmare for a lot of women. And if Trump's going to lose this election, it will be the woman vote. And there's a lot of MAGA people out there and everything else, and the MAGA women, a lot of them are very, very Trump. But if abortion's a big issue for some of these MAGA women, and some of these, MAGA women may not necessarily be MAGA women. They're with a MAGA man, and they're playing the role of a MAGA woman by default because of their man. In the end, in the voting box, it could turn out to be a surprise there for Trump, that he might lose some of the MAGA women because of the abortion issue. It's very possible. Now Vance brought up Walz in Minnesota bill that had up to 9 months, some kind of abortion thing, and even after born. Not sure, what the deal is with that. I haven't read any of that information. It's been brought up a couple times. Even Trump brought it up, I think, in the first debate. Walz's response to it was sloppy and very ineffective in denouncing that it was in there, and which leads me to believe that maybe there's some truth to it, which is very disheartening. But there again, if a fetus is going to die at 8.5 months and it's in the mother's womb, it's a dead baby sitting there. What are you going to do? Or near death? I don't know. It's a tough call. I'm not a doctor. Women have, I don't know how, a man can't have a baby because it would kill him. The amount of stress and a lot of health issues happen to women after they give birth, and a lot of mental and physical and everything. So it's not to be taken lightly, this whole situation. But having men even discuss it is ridiculous, really, because they have they have such a small part in this whole process of producing children. It's not even funny, So for men to really put all this effort into it, I think it should be an all-woman panel to discuss stuff like that because it's a very woman issue. Um, but so then, um, Harris was most effective in getting back to Roe, and uh, the barricades that women have with doctors and, doctors being afraid of going to jail and all this. It's just such a messy situation. So messy. I mean, it's a woman's thing that should have been dealt with, a woman panel or whatever. There should not have been, although one of the judges was a woman that voted for it, removing Roe versus Wade. But of course, the religious connotation to it, and during confirmation, she was had denied getting rid of any precedent laws, and she was involved in more than one Roe, and as well as some other laws were overturned from the bench, not by Congress, but from the bench. They changed law, and they're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to evaluate the laws that are written, not change them. And that's exactly what they did. They changed law. Now the guns, both Harris and Walz, I think were very effective in gun safety, as well as they are gun owners. They're not out to ban guns like Trump and Vance say, and Republicans. They always say we're coming for your guns and all this crap. It's like a lot of Democrats have handguns for protection. There's hunters. Democrats are hunters too. I mean, it's not. We're not. It's not a thing that's, you could never get all the guns. There's no way anyway. There's no way. There's too many guns. We've got more guns than any other country's got per capita. And so, including Iraq, Iraq, everyone had an AK-47. But, that's because you're in a warring third world country. And, Trump talks about third world country, right? Yeah, I mean, if you want to be a third world country, you can be. Having everyone have a bunch of guns is a good way to start. Embracing dictators around the world and wanting to be a dictator is another good way to start. And destroying people's freedoms. So the guns. Trump and Vance had no solution at all, for it. They just keep saying Second Amendment, and they're going to come for your guns, and in the end, it's like Bill Clinton had the assault weapon ban, and it was very successful in curbing mass shootings because so. I mean, to me, the Vegas shooting, you should have just really banned assault weapons. It's just ridiculous that one person could kill and injure, scores of people. I just can't. I don't understand how that wouldn't trigger it. It's like, yeah, school shootings. Yeah, a bunch of little kids being shot all to pieces. But of course, the press doesn't show you that. And in respect to the families and so on. But, at some point, maybe you should show this is what an AR-15 did to an 8-year-old's head, exploded it. Then maybe you can get some movement on like the blasphemy of it all. Maybe if they were all Jewish kids, you would get some movement, right? But at any rate, I digress. The border. I think Harris and Waltz, I think won that battle to a certain extent because of the fact that there was a bill, and it was the most conservative bill that could have ever been brought for vote for the border. But it helped fund. It would have helped fund immigration officers, judges. A lot of the things that I had in my book, Middle Class Jobs, that I had in my immigration policy chapter, was basically. I loved that bill. That was straight out of my book. They took months talking about it and everything else, and Trump said, no, I need to run on it. I need to run on the border and how they're not doing nothing. So by killing the bill, nothing was done. A lot of the policies, they keep saying, well, Harris has been in there for 3.5 years. How come you're not doing something? Well, I think a good part of it is Joe Biden's the president. And he lost his way. Harris has no pull with Joe Biden. And it's Republicans that keep killing bills. They don't, any kind of help, the Republicans keep killing. Nancy Pelosi had over 300 bills that she had passed in the House. And I think maybe during Trump's term, first 2 years, or maybe it was still at the end of Obama. But Mitch McConnell never put the bills up on the floor for vote. So what good was that? I think it was actually the 2022. Might have been 2020. Anyway. The Senate doesn't put it on the floor for a vote, so nothing gets done. Chances are really good it's going to be a Republican Senate. Nothing's going to get done again, because they won't put it up for vote. No changes. Just defense spending, appropriation bills, and that's it. And just status quo. When you're standing still, you're going backwards. And that's why this country is going backwards, because it won't put the effort to build this country. You want to make America great again. You want to put up some bills to build this country. And there's none of that. Trump has no plans. Trump has plans of kicking laborers out of the country. Low-income labor out of the country. It's like you need low-income labor. You need those immigrants to pick the crops. You need them to help build houses. You need them to help build roads, bridges. You need the low-income. Who's going to shovel the crap in the horse stables? You're just not going to get the American to do it. So, that's a 7-day-a-week job. So I don't see, I won't do it. But so at any rate, the continued debate, the border. Yeah, okay, so when Trump's going on about Springfield and eating of dogs, eating of cats, eating of pets, and it was a false story, but he saw it on TV, it must be true. It's like, really, buddy? I saw it on TV, it must be true. I was like, oh my gosh. Trump and Vance also lost on the January 6th, of course. You can't, look, I watched it on TV live, what was going on. I couldn't believe it. And, it started with a Stop the Steal rally. He was just a sore loser. He just couldn't believe he lost. And he just refused to, admit it. And he just fought it. That's what he does. He's had thousands of lawsuits. He's been in, courtrooms constantly over stuff. He lost over 60 cases on trying to figure out that it was rigged January 6th committee hearings are worth the watch. You could see all the Republicans coming forward and saying, all the people from the administration that he had, they came forward and said, there's nothing here, there's no fraud, there's no nothing, except for the cuckoos that were around Trump's ankles. There was no fraud. There was no voter irregularities of any magnitude whatsoever. It was one of the safest elections we ever had, but he was just such a sore loser, and like a 5-year-old kicking and screaming. And so yeah, stop the steal. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to meet you at the Capitol, he said. He was going to meet them at the Capitol, but Secret Service wouldn't allow him to go because they already started the breach. And so, and those people were sent there for a purpose. Trump's going to be coming to the Capitol. We're going to help him, stop the steal. We're going to convince Pence. We're going to hang Pence, right? They were going to hang Pence, but they would have never got to him. They said it was 1 minute. Another minute, they would have got to Pence. But the reality is they would have never got to him because the Secret Service would have opened fire on those people. And, yeah, that would have been a lot more bloodshed if there was another minute, because Secret Service is not going to let anyone get to the vice president. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah, I mean, Pence was the last hope on the democracy. If Trump goes back into office, democracy's over. And, the Democrats rigged the primaries, so democracy is kind of rigged in that respect. But, you still have the option of other parties to be able to vote against that party that rigs their primaries. The problem is of course, if Trump goes in, he doesn't leave. He likes dictatorship too much, and they would change the law and make him, a Putin, a never-ending dictator. And the voting would change too. I mean, they would just change everything to the point where it'd just be rigged elections for Republicans forever. And so, but the funny thing is Trump doesn't even like Republicans. His transition team are 2 Democrats. A Kennedy, the only Kennedy that crossed over to be a Republican. All the other Kennedys are still like, what are you doing? And then Tulsi Gabbard, which was a representative from Hawaii that used to be with the Bernie group, but then she had a falling out with them because of her policies were kind of embracing of the Putin thing too, and she had been on Fox quite a bit, actually, on talk shows and stuff like that. But she had been a advocate of the Putin Green Party type way of thinking, and that's why Jill Stein too. I mean, her grouping was very good during the Hillary run because of the fallout with the Bernie and Hillary camps. But after that, Joe Biden got most of those people back. But also some of those people went to Trump because of the communist backing of people. See, Trump actually encompasses quite a few people of neo-Nazis, the Klan, communism, Confederate people, and white male misogyny, blackmail misogyny as well. Black males love Trump because of his misogyny. And you also have the people that are into the wrestling, and they don't mind the showmanship, as it were, and theatrics that he puts up constantly. And a lot of people are anti-immigrant. They blame, like, it's easy to blame other people instead of actually looking at themselves. Much like, this one Mexican fella had told me, it's like his neighbor, kind of gets on his nerves a little bit because he's like, oh, Mexicans and all this. And meanwhile, he's laying on his couch, It's like, oh, they're taking my jobs away. It's like, meanwhile, he's laying on his couch talking about it, It's like, get up off the couch and go to work. I mean, there's plenty of work out there. But it's just humorous to think that, people would be so anti-immigrant when we need the immigrants to do a lot of the work we will not do. And, we're going to have to rely on a 15 or 16-year-old that may not want to work either, or they don't have the work ethic. And so then you wind up still nothing's being done productively in that respect. I mean, a lot of the immigrants are very hardworking people, and they got families, and they want the opportunities, and they're going to work hard to do it, and they'll take a lesser pay to do it too. So a lot of the reason too with the illegal ones is because of the labor laws. There's a lot of advantage, taking advantage in that respect of avoiding labor laws. And $7.25 an hour is the minimum wage, and even illegal immigrants are getting paid more than that. I mean, it's just really kind of crazy when you think about it. But so immigration is something that has to be worked on. It should have been Joe Biden's first day in office project, because he failed to do anything about it. And I guess Kamala Harris was not a czar, but it seemed like Joe Biden did put her, like, well, she's gonna look into it at least. And she did go to Central America, to a couple of the countries, and talk to the presidents down there about stuff. About, hey, you need to not have your people be leaving your country. And then in the end, Venezuela winds up being the one that, over 500,000 Venezuelans wound up leaving Venezuela before the election. And then they were causing trouble, But those are mostly people that were not Maduro's people. They were Guaido's people. And, they wanted to overthrow the elected leader themselves. So it's like, just a vicious circle of it. But both Democrat and Republican politicians were on board with it. They're on board with rigging elections. And, the Republicans and Democrats run the elections. If it was Democrat areas that were in question, although there was, let's say, Atlanta, there was a small situation there, but even the Republican Secretary of State and the Republican governor of Georgia said that, no, there's nothing to see here. And recounts happened. It was all Republican areas. Arizona, Republican. Like Wisconsin, too, I think. I think it was a Republican governor. So these elections were run by Republicans. So under Trump, right? Trump was president. So if you had the Democrats were able to rig the election under Trump presidency in Republican governor states, in Republican districts, how in the world is there not like a ton of evidence of saying, oh, here you go, this was here, you know, you know. And then Trump and Giuliani keep saying they have the evidence, but then it's like they don't produce it. I mean, if you have the evidence, why not show us? Show everybody here. Look at all this evidence the judges refuse to look at. I mean, what are you doing? They're not doing nothing. So yeah, I mean, let's say the Democrats did do it, right? They rigged the election under Trump and all the Republican areas. Well, what was changed? What's changed? Nothing. Nothing's changed. It's the exact same systems all the way around. So other than the officials are different, there might be some MAGA like Georgia, whoever the election officials in that state right now, they'll never certify it, unless Trump wins. They won't certify the election. So, Kamala Harris is more than likely going to have to win without Georgia if she's going to win. But, so in the end, if nothing's changed, if the Democrats did rig the election, let's just say, right? Let's say they did rig it. I mean, how much easier is it going to be to rig it this time around when Joe Biden's in office? How much easier is it going to be to rig the election when Kamala Harris is the vice president? She'll be there like Pence was. So, let's say they lose. Then Kamala Harris, using the Trump analogy of what seems reasonable to me, all she has to do is put some fake electors in herself. Oh, me and Joe won. Right? I mean, come on, people. I mean, and she's not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Although they could. It's like, if they're really, truly wanting to save democracy, as it were, by not having Trump go in, then if Trump wins, then they can say, you know what, we cannot have Trump win. We have to rig the election to make sure he does not go in. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, if they actually did do it, then, it's easy for them to do it again, you would think. A lot easier. Democrats in the White House, Attorney General is going to Democrat, right? Attorney General Barr. There's nothing to see here. And he was, Attorney General Barr was, man, he protected Trump on so many things. It was unreal during his presidency. You kidding me? And then the lawsuits that go on. So many lawsuits that Trump did against the own institutions of the United States. I mean, it was like United States against United States, things. It was just crazy stuff. So many lawyers made so much money under Trump. It's unreal. As far as all the different lawsuits outside of his own personal lawsuits, none of the lawyers made any money, and their reputations just wound up trash, and a lot of them lost their bar licenses representing Trump. I mean, how many lawyers of Trump wound up losing their bar license? That's amazing when you think about it. But anyway, back to the, speaking of which, Trump lost because of all his felonies, sexual assault cases, fraud cases, business, January 6 cases, the documents case, Cannon threw it out. But of course, he had picked Cannon, and Cannon was pretty open about being, yay, Trump, And, a lot of judges are kind of that way. And so, after 40 minutes, Trump held it together pretty much the first 40 minutes of the debate. After that, he was unhinged. He was just cuckoo. Harris stayed pretty cool throughout the whole thing. Um, Gave him, them looks of like, wow, yeah, that's my 5-year-old acting all stupid. Vance and Waltz were very civil. The vice presidential debate was much like what debates are supposed to be, right? Friendly, uh, uh, and respectful. It was a very civil debate. There was no jibber jabber like Trump likes to do. And even a lot of Vance's interviews and so on, was kind of almost unhinged himself on those. But he did very good. He listened to his debate preparers, no doubt. And he got a good image. Honestly, I think out of the four, Vance made the most of it. And I think he really improved his stock, which is troublesome because it'll make Trump more electable now because the vice president is not some psychopath, even though he's weird, which it's amazing how Democrats have a hard time, Look, if Trump had the weird thing, just like Lying Ted or Lil Rubio, or the Wall for 9 years, honestly, weird should stay as the thing. Weird. These people are weird, weird, weird. Trump's as weird as you can get. And it's amazing how successful he is. I mean, a lot of wrestlers are pretty weird, right? And so, people like wrestling. They have fun with it. It's entertainment. So Trump's entertainment. People enjoy. They get to dress up with the MAGA hats and the flags and all that stuff. And, they like to entertain. It's an entertainment experience. To me, it's just like a circus. It's a circus, quite literally, right? With all the flags and the hats and the fancy stuff and the makeup. And, people really, enjoy themselves, though. I mean, they're having fun, it's not a ballet. It's not like going to a opera or a play. It's more like a pep rally. And a circus. But at any rate, I think Harris won her debate and Vance won his debate. And in the end, it's just going to be a very close race again. I mean, the 2000 race was very close with Al Gore and George W. And in reality, had Al Gore held on, the final count in Florida was Al Gore won. And but he had conceded before the final counts were finally in. It's unfortunate. We could have been on a different track altogether. 9/11 would have happened under Al Gore. What would he have done? Afghanistan? Would he have gone into Iraq? I doubt it. And had we not gone into Iraq, Iraq would probably still be enemies with Iran. And nowadays, Iraq is an ally of Iran, thanks to George W. Bush. So, yeah, Trump's thing about anti-war, I agree with. Trump's embracing of Putin, I don't agree with. Chamberlain is an example of what not to do in foreign policy and deterring wars by not getting involved in wars is a big mistake because it allows. Russia's got like the largest landmass. They're in 2 continents. They don't need any more territory. They got plenty of territory. So them expanding is not helpful for anybody. And You know, having Trump allow dictators to do what they want is not a good thing. You know, Hitler was allowed to go through Europe because of Chamberlain, his weakness in foreign policy and military logistical understanding, geographically and everything else. Putin is to not, you know. Now, when Putin took Crimea in 2014, that was almost a different story, only because of the fact that the Russian fleet was stationed in Crimea, and so there was less of a urgency there. But we were supplying Ukraine with some defensive weapons in the case that Russia decided to take more of Ukraine, and that's where the whole debacle came up, and that's where, you know, Trump decided to take sides on that, took Putin's side, and he chose the wrong side. But we'll find out. The fact-checking in the presidential debate was allowed and effective because Trump lied continuously, and they were constantly fact-checking him and trying to correct his lying. You know, the worst thing you can have is someone that lies and people believe the lies, because it's just so dysfunctional in trying to be intellectual about things and understanding things, that if you believe in lies, then, you know, where is the groundwork of like understanding and building blocks of trying to and to raise kids under a false information? I just don't. I had a 10-year-old say, "Oh, you voting for Harris?" I said, "Yes," and then they say, "Oh, you should be voting Trump," and they were African American kid, you know. So it's like, what are their parents teaching this kid? You know, the kid can't even vote for another 7 or 8 years. Of course, if Trump goes in, he'll never vote. So, same with women. You think they're going to vote? They'll never vote again. No, it's a man's world under Trump. That's why he picked a man for vice president. He didn't pick no woman. You think that was even going to be an option? A lot of people said, "Oh yeah, they're going to, you know, look at Marjorie Taylor Greene." Marjorie Taylor Greene is top Trump supporter of all. She went every time she went to Congress, she had something, you know, anti-Democrat or pro-Trump, or, you know, the lies of the election was stolen, all this stuff, everything else. She was the most Trump person you could ever have. And I mean person meaning man or female. And for some reason, she's dog shit to him. And I think she was trying to be the VP pick. And she may have said some words to him, maybe, in private, you know, that pissed him off. And that was the end of it. You know, because once you piss Trump off, you're dead to him. That's why he doesn't have any friends. I mean, who's his friend? You know, where's Giuliani? Didn't even help Giuliani. I mean, he tried to get some kind of fundraiser for Giuliani. It's like, what are you talking about? Just stick your hand in your pocket and give him some freaking help. Send him some lawyers. But you know what? Trump's burned through so many lawyers. Like I said, all those lawyers, how many of them, you know, that he had, how many of them are disbarred? You know. Now, the vice presidential debate was supposed to be no fact-checking. Guess what? Within 5 minutes, they were fact-checking Vance. Yeah, they were fact-checking him. And I was very upset about it, actually, because, you know, they made it out to be like there was going to be no fact-checking. And then even the commentators, once they broke off on it, made the comment, there wasn't supposed to be any fact-checking. on their own network. I think it was ABC. Anyway, no, it was CBS. That's right. So for the most part, politicians lie. It depends on what lies you want. I mean, the reality of it is Congress, which Senator Vance is part of the group that voted against the immigration bill. He voted against aid for Ukraine to fight Russia, expansionism, and even Israel aid was in there. Which later on they did get the Israel and Ukraine aid, but they left immigration out because Trump wanted to keep that as a political tool, political thing. Oh, the fentanyl and all this and all these sex trafficking, all this and all that. But in the end, it's like, well, we're going to wait until I'm in office. So it's like for a year, basically a year goes by. Because it was like October to October. It's October now. So it's been a year. A year later, nothing. Not a dime. Not a dime for the border. So, and actually the immigrant crossovers slowed down quite a bit. But, it's because the Venezuelan election's over. And so a lot of the Venezuelans stopped coming because the election's over. And the other countries, Central American countries, have stabilized a little bit. And a lot of the people that wanted to leave already left. And so, Haiti's a mess. But, it's hard to get people to come over, by boat or, a lot of them, it's such a long journey through Mexico, too, a lot of them. But, lately it's become pretty sophisticated to the point where people just fly to Canada and cross the Canadian border now, too. So, Trump could have had a wall in the north and south borders if he was smart enough to understand that a wall is defense. And he could have stuck it in the defense bills. Mitch McConnell didn't do it because he didn't want to have to pay for it. So, because Mexico was going to pay for it. The Mexican president laughed in the face. He's like, I'm not paying for no wall. Are you crazy? He doesn't want the people to stay in Mexico. They were sending them through. And so, and it's a certain amount of wealth in having people come through Mexico. A lot of people make money selling them water or food or whatever to the people going through Mexico. And so it's a certain amount of business for them. Immigrants in our country are business too. I mean, they got to buy food, and there is the shelter issue, but a lot of it's low-income housing to the point of, we're not talking about middle-class housing. We're talking about lower income. Now, rich people, they got all kinds of houses. I mean, Elon Musk is the only one without a house. But everyone else, that's rich, they have multiple houses, multiple yachts. The Russian oligarchs, right? Who put a stop to, Biden stopped the Russian oligarchs from even getting their boats. And so if Trump goes back in, all them oligarchs are going to get their yachts back. That's what's going to happen. And they'll be very grateful to Trump for it. They'll be very grateful to Trump. Yeah. If you had a different candidate, it would be a different story. I think Vance, for the Republicans, would be a better candidate for president than Trump, only because, he doesn't seem like a guy that would be, he lies a lot, but he's not a corrupt guy, that would be I mean, I don't think so. I don't think he'd be that corrupt. Like, I mean, Trump's dangerous corrupt. I mean, he's got it out there. I mean, Jared's got $2 billion worth of Saudi money, from the leader of Saudi Arabia. You know, it'd be like let's say I've got Putin's $2 billion, right? Or let's say Obama. Let's say Obama has $2 billion of Putin's money, and he's investing, making $25 million a year, just holding it. Doesn't even make any money on it. Just makes the commission $25 million a year for nothing, right? But it's for something. They're gonna have oceanfront property in Gaza. The Saudis, they don't care about Palestinians. Iranians are the only ones that are protecting the Palestinians. So that's why that's just it's a dead situation there for them. Israel's just going to take over Lebanon and Gaza, build Trump towers everywhere, golf resorts. I mean, Trump's already got a place in the Golan Heights, that was taken by Israel. It's like, this is ours, not Syria's. Whatever. The corruption is so. They go after Hunter Biden for 5 years. It's like speedy trial. No. I mean, if I was Hunter Biden, I would have sued, for, no speedy trial for him. It's unconstitutional on like a bunch of it. A bunch of the Constitution goes over legal stuff. And half of it is definitely Hunter Biden could sue and win. Even in a Trump Supreme Court would be like, yeah, I guess you're right. Can't ignore that. But over bullcrap, right? A gun possession for 16 days. You lied on the application. How many gun owners have lied on a gun registration? In North Carolina, you don't even have it. Texas, there's no registration at all. So it's like, you could even be a convicted felon, get a gun in Texas. Who cares? They don't. So, you talk about, oh, we don't want criminals having guns. Go to Texas. Try explaining that to them. It's hypocrisy. Hypocritical of everybody. Everyone's a hypocrite on that. Meanwhile, little kids get killed. Innocent people get killed left and right. For what? Because we're uncivilized. Because Trump says we're a third world country. And it's a third world country because of the way we treat our citizens. A country's only as good as the way the government treats their citizens. And, we're just treating them like garbage. We're going to deport you. We're going to, take away your rights to, women's rights. Women's rights, never even got passed. Never got ratified. The Equal Rights Amendment never got ratified. Never did. And it's that much even farther away. It's never going to happen. The right to vote for women will be gone. African Americans will lose their right to vote again. Because when they say "Make America Great Again," what do they really mean? They don't mean to Trump. They don't mean to Trump 3 years, before COVID. They're talking about 1800s. Make America Great Again. We're talking about the Django days, right? And, the African Americans that embrace MAGA, like Robinson from North Carolina. No different than the slave owners' manservant that was African American. That just, chastised any African American to even think that they should be free. It's crazy. It really is crazy, you know. An African American man praising himself to be a Nazi. It's like, what are you talking about? It's so crazy, you know. I mean, Nazis were for white male, blue eyes, you know, blonde hair. I mean, you know, it's just the hypocrisy. I just don't understand. It's very uneducated, very uneducated. You know, it's just no thought at all in there. You know, there's no thinking at all in that type of way of thinking. There's none. There's no thinking there. You know, I mean, come on. Where's the thought process here? You know. You know, it'd be like, and I have to look this up. How many Jewish people voted for Hitler? There had to be some, right? And it's just that, you know, it's just that way of like you're going against your own abilities, you know. Trump doesn't even want to pay overtime. How's that a working man's candidate that doesn't want to pay overtime? I don't understand. When Trump was first running in 2015, he goes, "Yeah, minimum wage is too high. $7.25 an hour is too high." You know, even in 2015, it was too low. You know, let alone 2024, 2025. It's like 10 years later, it's still $7.25 an hour. Even Joe Biden never even thought about putting it up for a vote. I mean, it's like, I think we should raise it to 9 or something, right? But, you know, most cities started going to 15. California's got $20 fast food people get $20 an hour in California. But, you know, the cost of living and all that over there is crazy. But, you know, I mean, Bernie did the 15, you know. Hillary lost because she was saying 10 and said maybe 12, but really the legalization of marijuana. I mean, it's hard to believe now. But yeah, there were no states that had legalization of marijuana at all, you know, when Hillary ran. And now half the country's got it. But because the tax revenue, you can't ignore it. You know, you want to solve the drug thing, you know, tax it. Make it legal and tax it. Collect that money and help in trying to fix people from even being drug addicts in the first place, you know. Which happy families and working families is a good way to do it, you know, because a lot of stress is when people are out of work and they can't help themselves and their families suffer for it. So I never had kids because I never thought I'd have the mental capacity to deal with raising kids. So, or financial too. I mean, I was raised under the Reagan years, threat of nuclear war, high inflation, and taxes for middle class and people went up because they cut the high-end tax rate. Reagan cut the taxes the first on the rich on the first term, and then the second term he did it again, and it just created a lot more tax for food and alcohol, cigarettes. You know, they said, "Well, we're trying to deter them from," yeah, whatever. Yeah, they were just trying to get the tax revenue from other ways, gas tax, all that stuff is because of Reagan. Cutting the high-end tax rates. You know, 50% for a high-end top 1% is what needs to happen, and there would be a balanced budget, but they refused to do it because, you know, the people that the 100 senators work for are the rich people. So, and the 100 senators are millionaires, if not billionaires. So you're never going to get any movement as long as you got lying politicians and politicians that get bribed by the millionaires and billionaires and the corporations of pharmaceutical, big oil, which Trump is just Give me money. Give me money and I'll help you. I'll get rid of regulations. Just give me the money. I mean, the guy is unreal. You know, those are private backdoor meeting type stuff, not on national television. You know, give me a break. The guy is so corrupt, it's stupid. You know, you get the guy had to use his hotels, had the G7 summit at the Doral Country Club. You know, it's his. You know, I mean, you talk about, and he sells $100,000 watches and gold boots that look stupid. I mean, it's just like someone spray painted some boots and said, "Here, buy these." You know, it's just unreal. Unreal. The guy is such a grifter. New Yorker from, I mean, come on, man. I mean, give me a break. I mean, it's also, you know, moving to Florida. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people move to Florida that are grifters. You know, they made their money the not so slick way, you know. I mean, it's unreal. Unreal. You know. And then so many jabonis out there playing golf now because of him. I mean, I can't imagine walking into a golf shop right now. All you'd see is his picture everywhere, I guarantee you. Right? I mean, who's promoting golf more than anybody, you know? I mean, someone living in a trailer in West Virginia, unemployed, you know, they probably got a golf bag with some golf clubs in it. It's just unreal to me. Anyway, 100 years from now, they'll be flying a Trump flag, just like they flied the Confederate flag for so long. The flags of losers. That's it for me. Mark Bartol, Bevo Analytics.